Health officials have touted the importance of wearing masks to stop the spread of COVID-19, especially in areas where social distancing can be difficult, such as public transportation. The MTA has proactively been giving out masks, and that's what MTA Chairman Pat Foye is doing this very morning. He is live this morning from Jamaica Station in Queens this morning. So good morning to you, sir. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Dan. I can hear you fine.
Great. Good. Thank you for joining us this morning. And I will talk about the mask efforts that you're diving into this morning and why you're out there in just a minute. But I do want to begin this morning with this study out of NYU published in the Daily News this morning that shows 1 in 4 transit workers caught COVID-19. That number, as you may know, much higher than the governor's assessment of 14% and the agency's data that showed 7.4%. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but I did want to get your take and see if you actually saw the study.
Yeah, we were briefed on it yesterday, Dan. First, it's not a study, right? It's a survey. The NYU professor in charge acknowledged that it's not scientific and that it was done as a matter of convenience. The respondents were self-selected by NYU and the union. More research on the issue is critical. The data that we have, and obviously every transit worker who was infected by the virus is one transit worker too many. Our percentage is 7%. That's based on data. It's scientific. We're going to continue working with all sorts of researchers around the city, the state, and the country. And our focus is to do everything we can to minimize health risks to our customers and to our employees. That's why I'm at the Jamaica Station of Long Island Railroad this morning handing out pink breast cancer month masks. We've distributed over 6 million masks to our customers, subways, buses, Metro North, Long Island Railroad. This week, this month, we're handing out pink masks, and we'll be distributing about 125,000 pink masks. Again, all in the interest of minimizing public health risks to our employees and customers.
Yeah, so when you say 7%, just to give that number for our viewers, it's 3,921 MTA employees or transit workers who caught COVID-19. 131 MTA workers died from the virus. Looking back at it, I know you're downplaying what came out in the Daily News today, saying it was a voluntary survey, but looking back on it, was there anything more that could have been done to protect workers on the front lines looking back?
Look, I think everybody in retrospect acknowledges that the CDC got it wrong. The CDC resisted the distribution of masks to anybody other than healthcare professionals in a hospital setting for too long. The MTA abandoned that advice approximately 2 weeks before the CDC did. And if there's one thing in hindsight that was a terrible mistake, frankly, on a national level and an international level, because the World Health Organization gave the same advice, that would be it. The MTA abandoned that advice a couple of weeks before the CDC changed its mind.
Understood.
In hindsight, that is the one change. Since then, we've distributed about 10 million masks to our employees. Wow. Millions of pairs of gloves, and as I mentioned, 6 million masks to our customers, and that distribution continues.
Yeah, I want to talk about also this Metro North and LIRR testing. Looking ahead right now, and this high-tech air filtration system being tested there. What do you know about it, and could it be used for the subways and buses to protect people as they kind of come back on board?
So great question. Let me start with this reality. The number of air exchanges on subways, buses, Metro North, and Long Island Railroad is well in excess of what is required by the environmental authorities. Having said that, we're doing everything we can to innovate. Ultraviolet C light, far UV, far ultraviolet light, antimicrobials, and on Metro North and Long Island, an innovative pilot with respect to new filters and air exchange that will increase the number of air exchanges even above the high level that it's set at. The message, Dan, is we're doing everything we can to minimize health risks to our customers and our employees, and we're going to continue doing that across the agency.
And so you're talking about the mass distribution, the 10 million masks, you're talking about the air filtration system, and I do want to talk about the budget crisis then, because all of this obviously costs money, and you're talking about a $12 billion deficit that you need the federal government to step in and help on to keep things up and running, or you've talked about massive layoffs and service cuts. Where are we at with that?
Well, look, it's been reported that Speaker Pelosi, House Speaker Pelosi, and Secretary of the Treasury Mnuchin met for an hour, talked for an hour. Actually, talked for an hour yesterday. The Secretary happens to be in the Middle East. Those discussions are ongoing. It's really critical that the MTA ask, which is $12 billion, to get us through the remainder of 2020 and 2021. That we get that money, we get it at $12 million level, and we get it as quickly as possible. Having said that, if we don't get substantial federal funding, our hand may be forced, and we may be required to make drastic, unprecedented service reductions. I'm at the Jamaica station of the Long Island Railroad, and then on the Long Island Railroad and Metro North, for instance, we could be facing service cuts of up to 40% and up to 50% on subways and buses, including having to lay off thousands and thousands of our colleagues.
Right.
No one at the MTA wants to do that, but if we don't get sufficient federal funding, our hand may be forced.
Understood. And lastly, I want to talk about subway crime. We've been reporting many crimes taking place on the subways and buses. We know that ridership is down, right? But we're seeing this a rise in crime. Subway arrests are actually down 80%. Summonses dropped by 95%, but major felonies are up. Some murders, rapes in the subway as well. What is your worry here about the state of the NYPD within the subway system? Are they doing enough?
Well, look, this is a citywide, first of all, it's a citywide issue, the crime issue. One. Two, the subways continue to be safe. While ridership is down, ridership on subways, buses, Metro North, and Long Island Railroad has been increasing slowly, far too slowly. In many areas of crime, categories of crime, there has not been an increase. In some, there has. The NYPD has primary responsibility for policing the subways. We're in constant dialogue with the leadership, Commissioner Shea, the leadership of the Transit Bureau, which has responsibility for patrolling the subways, and working together with the NYPD and the MTA police, for instance, who patrol here at Jamaica Station, Long Island Railroad, Jamaica, and Metro North stations, as well as subway stations. We're committed to doing everything we can in a very challenging environment to increase the number of arrests, increase the number of fines, and to do everything we can to make sure that we've minimized risk of every type to our customers and our employees.
MTA Chairman Pat Foye, we're out of time here. How long are you going to be out there giving out those masks today?
I'm going to be at Jamaica for a bit, and I'll spend the next couple of hours on the Long Island Railroad subways handing out masks. We've got beautiful pink masks this morning, Dan, and the last thing I'll say is mask compliance on subways, buses, Metro North, Long Island Railroad is in excess of 95%.
Great.
The thing that your viewers could do to protect themselves, their fellow commuters, and our employees is to wear a mask. Thank you, Dan.
Absolutely, absolutely. MTA Chairman Pat Foye, always appreciate you coming on, making the time. Great shirt, by the way, as well. Really like that shirt.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay
we'll get
safe
you one.
to you. Thank you very much. Stay safe, sir.